The legal case against hit-and-run suspect Donald Crayton is on pause tonight because the state says he still needs an attorney. Crayton is charged with hitting and killing 4-year-old Zekani Hymes-Wilson and injuring her mother as they walked across Teutonia Avenue in Milwaukee and then drove away from the scene.
Is an apology enough for a mother who has just lost her 4-year-old daughter? Not an apology at the beginning of a long reckoning. Not the first words of someone trying to make amends, but the words that come after a life is already gone. A few words in a courtroom, a sentence, a promise to do better, and then home. In 2019, Donald Crayton stood before a judge and said he was sorry. He had killed a man with his car, a father of 4. Crayton had been driving without a license, not because it had been suspended or because it had expired. He had never legally held one. He apologized. He was sentenced to 10 months, and then he went home. 5 years later, Crayton was living with a woman named Gloria, and Gloria had a 4-year-old daughter named Zekani. She was not a stranger to him. She was a child who knew his face, a child whose home he shared. And on the morning of April 30th, 2024, Crayton got behind the wheel again, still without a license. He struck Gloria. Then he struck Zekani. He stopped. He looked at them helpless, and he drove away. That's intent to kill. Zekani was 4 years old. She was someone's daughter, someone's little girl, someone who expected to come home that day. Instead, her mother was left injured on the road beside her, and the person who had been part of their household was gone. But the most disturbing part of this story isn't only that Crayton drove away, it's that this wasn't the first time a family had lost someone because he was behind the wheel. People make mistakes, people regret things, people apologize. But what happens when the same person makes the same deadly choice again? What does an apology mean when the person saying it has already been given a second chance? And what does it mean for a mother to hear "I'm sorry" from the same system that had already heard those words once before? From a lover who ended up taking the life of her baby. Because between Crayton's first fatal crash and Zekani's death, there was a gap. And within that gap, Crayton met Gloria, and they ended up living together. And within that period, the system knew who he was, knew what had happened, knew he was still driving, and yet he was still behind the wheel. In this video, we're going to follow that gap. We'll reconstruct what happened to Daryl Tharpe in 2019, what happened after Crayton's first conviction, and how he continued driving despite never having held a valid license. We'll examine what happened on the morning Gloria and Zekani were struck, what investigators found afterward, and what Crayton said when he finally had to face the consequences a second time. And there's one detail that makes the second apology especially difficult to ignore. He had already stood in court and said almost the same thing before. By the time we're done, you'll understand exactly how a man who never held a valid driver's license killed 2 people across 6 years, and why the system that processed his first apology had already been given the warning signs before the second death ever happened. This is Crime Deepcut, and this is the story of what happens when a previous record leads to untimely death of a child and her family's pursuit for justice. If you want coverage that reads the file instead of the room, that waits for the document instead of racing for the headline, this is the moment to subscribe. The paper trail on this story is still growing, and in the space between what we know and what we don't, the channels that move fastest are rarely the ones that move true. We'd rather be thorough than first. That only pays off if you're subscribed when the picture shifts. Zekani Hymes-Wilson was 4 years old. She was born September 5, 2019 in Milwaukee. Her mother, Gloria Hymes, was 27. They lived in an apartment on North Teutonia Avenue, and on the morning of April 30th, 2024, they stepped outside to walk to Domino's Pizza. That was the whole plan. A short errand. A Tuesday like any other. In 60 seconds of security footage, this stops being an accident. Zekani was the kind of child people described with one word: princess. Family members say she lit up every room. She was loud, joyful, bright. At 4, she was still small enough to hold her mother's hand crossing the street, still young enough that a walk to get pizza felt like an adventure. They left their apartment around 11:25 a.m. Gloria held her daughter's hand. They crossed the frontage road, then the median, then the southbound lanes of Teutonia. They were heading for the Domino's across the street, not in the crosswalk, but visible, present. 2 people doing what people do on a Tuesday morning. A black 2019 Chevrolet Impala was coming north. The speed limit on that stretch is 40 miles per hour. Investigators would later determine the car was traveling at 90. There was no time to react. The impact threw Zekani from her mother's grip. Gloria's right leg shattered in 3 places. Her body hit the pavement with enough force to tear her skin open. People nearby heard her screaming. Not for help. She was screaming questions. What did I do wrong? Where is my daughter? She didn't know yet that Zekani was lying just feet away, unconscious, dying. Security cameras at 6923 North Teutonia captured what happened in the next 60 seconds. And those 60 seconds are what turned a horrific traffic death into something the courts would spend 2 years untangling. The Impala stopped in a parking lot. 2 people got out. A man from the driver's side, a woman from the passenger side. They ran toward Gloria and Zekani. For one moment, the footage looks like help is coming. It looks like 2 people are about to do the one decent thing left to do. It didn't happen that way. According to the criminal complaint, the driver stood over the 2 people he had just struck. He recognized them. He knew exactly who they were. The woman bleeding in the street was his girlfriend. The 4-year-old dying beside her was a child who lived in his home. After roughly 1 minute, he turned. He ran back to the Impala. He got in, and he drove away. He left a dying child and her critically injured mother in the middle of the road. The passenger stayed. She was later identified as Destiny Crayton, the driver's sister. She rode with Gloria in the ambulance to Frodert Hospital. She told paramedics she was Gloria's sister. She was holding Gloria's phone. She never told officers she had been in the car that hit them. She left the hospital before investigators could return to interview her. Police arrived to find Zekani unconscious on the pavement. Officers began CPR right there in the street. It didn't bring her back. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner pronounced her dead at the scene. Gloria was rushed to the hospital, fighting to survive injuries that would take months to even begin healing. And she had not yet been told that her daughter was gone. If you're following this story and haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. Every subscription helps us look deeper into stories like this one. At the hospital, badly hurt and in shock, Gloria did the one thing that would crack this case open within hours. She named him Donald Crayton, her boyfriend, the man who lived in her home. She told police it was his Impala. She identified him from a still photo. She identified his sister Destiny as the passenger. She knew the car. She knew the man. She knew the address they all shared, 6945 North Teutonia, Apartment 1. Officers found the Impala before evening. It was abandoned on railroad tracks near the 7500 block of North 81st Street. The front passenger side was heavily damaged. A piece recovered from the crash scene matched the bumper perfectly. Inside, they found paperwork in Donald Crayton's name. Food share documents dated February 2024. Bank information. Vehicle registration. Latent prints on the driver's side door frame came back to Donald Crayton's right little finger and left middle finger, but Crayton himself wasn't done running. Undercover officers spotted him that night in a Hyundai Tucson on North 83rd Street. He was in the passenger seat. A woman was driving. When officers tried to pull them over, the Hyundai accelerated. The driver, later identified as Adriana Merkel, 21, who told police she was Crayton's girlfriend, led police on a 5.1-mile chase through Milwaukee and into Wauwatosa. Speeds reached 90 miles per hour. Merkel crashed in a parking lot at 7203 West North Avenue. Crayton got out and ran. Officers chased him, yelling, "Stop! Police!" He kept running until they caught him at 2243 North 72nd Street. The next day, detectives attempted to interview him. According to the complaint, he was crying uncontrollably. He said he felt horrible. He said he couldn't live with himself. He asked to go to the psych ward, and while waiting for the crisis assessment response team, he began yelling, "I'm so sorry, Canny." But Donald Crayton was not a man who had simply made a terrible mistake. He was a man the system had already processed. A driver's license is the minimum legal threshold for operating a 2-ton vehicle on public roads. It certifies that a person has passed testing, understands traffic law, and is accountable to a system. Donald Crayton had never held one, not for a single day. Not suspended, not expired, never issued. His traffic offenses dated back to at least 2015. Citation after citation, warning after warning. None of it ever stopped him from getting behind the wheel. Then, in October 2018, that record turned deadly. Crayton was driving without a license when his car jumped a curb near 28th and Center Street. He struck a 36-year-old man named Daryl Tharpe, a father of 4. His son Mavericks was 2 weeks old. Witnesses said the car dragged Tharpe under it. He died at the scene. Crayton pleaded guilty to operating while suspended, causing death. He was sentenced to 5 years. He served 10 months. 10 months for a father of 4. He was released in 2019 and placed on 3 years of probation. While on probation, he was cited 3 more times for driving with a suspended license. He kept driving. The system kept noting it, and nothing changed. Daryl's mother, Diane Tharpe, spoke to reporters after the 2024 crash. She said if he had gotten more time, he wouldn't have been out here. This little girl, she said, would still be living. Diane Tharpe died several months after burying her only child. Jessica Goodwin, who shares a son with Daryl Tharpe, put it this way: Daryl's life was worth 10 months. I just wish the justice system was a little more strict in the beginning. But remember why this record matters. It matters because on April 30th, 2024, a 4-year-old girl held her mother's hand and walked toward a pizza place, and the man who had already killed once was the man waiting at the wheel. On July 30th, 2026, Donald Crayton stood in front of Judge Laura Crivello for sentencing. The courtroom was packed. Gloria Hymes sat with dozens of family and friends, watching the man who had taken her daughter finally face a judge. Gloria spoke first. She told the court this had ruined her life, that nothing would ever be the same. She said she didn't believe he deserved the plea he'd been offered. She wanted life in prison, because a life sentence was exactly what she had been handed, a life without her child. Crayton apologized. He told the court his actions led to Connie losing her life and Gloria getting injured. He said he let them down when they needed him most. He said he had daughters of his own. And standing there, he admitted he'd let them down too. But Judge Crivello wasn't moved. She pointed out something the courtroom could not ignore. Crayton had said almost the exact same words of remorse back in 2019 after killing Daryl Tharpe. He had apologized once already, and he got behind the wheel again anyway. Zekani's grandmother, Erica Hymes, addressed the court. She described the little girl who would have turned 7 that September, who would have started 2nd grade that fall, a milestone she will never reach. Judge Crivello handed down the sentence: 20 years in prison, 15 years of extended supervision. Then she added one more line to the record, almost symbolic in how final it was. Donald Crayton will never be allowed to hold a driver's license again. 20 years. For a 4-year-old who will never start 2nd grade. For a mother who will never hold her daughter's hand again. For a family who released silver and pink balloons at the intersection where she died 10 days after the crash. For a line of motorcycles that escorted her from the funeral home to the church on May 25, 2024. 20 years cannot give Zekani her 2nd grade year back. It cannot give Gloria her daughter back. It cannot give Daryl Tharpe's son the father he never met. All it can do is mark on paper that someone finally answered for what happened that morning on Teutonia Avenue.
If you're enjoying this deep dive and haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect time. Every subscription helps us look deeper into stories like this.
Adriana Merkel, the woman who drove the car that fled police with Crayton inside, had already been sentenced. On July 2, 2026, Judge Crivello gave her 3 years of probation. The charge of recklessly endangering safety was dropped as part of her plea deal. The case is closed in the legal sense. Donald Crayton is serving 20 years. He will not drive again. But the questions this case leaves behind are not about one man. They are about the architecture that let him reach that intersection. A man with no license. A record stretching back nearly a decade. A death in 2018. Probation violations while still driving. And then a home shared with a mother and her 4-year-old child. The system saw him. It processed him. It released him. And it never asked who else was in the car, in the home, in the path. If you have information about this case that has not been publicly examined, the Milwaukee Police Department tip line remains open. But if all you have is a theory based on emotion you can't verify, or a comment that starts with "what if," maybe sit this one out. The family doesn't need more theories. They need the record to mean something. And meaning only comes from evidence, not from engagement. What's the one piece of documentation? A license check, a probation report, a municipal citation. that you believe should have triggered a different outcome before April 30th, 2024. Write your answer in the comments. Every single one will be read, because this story isn't over, and your voice is part of it now. The people who knew Zekani Hymes-Wilson best say she made others feel like they mattered, simply by being present, simply by paying attention. She walked out of her apartment on April 30th, 2024. She was holding her mother's hand. She didn't come home. Zekani Hymes-Wilson, 4 years old. She would have started second grade this fall. This is one story, one set of facts, one family still waiting. That's where we leave this, for now. If this story stayed with you, please subscribe to Crime Deepcut. Every day, we deep dive into the mysteries around crime stories like this. We'd love to have you with us. And as always, stay vigilant, stay questioning, and never let them vary the truth. This is Crime Deepcut. I'll see you in the next one.